Okay, hopefully everybody can see me and you're all dialed in. My name is Kent, the Challengeeos, San Diego. And once again, I'm on a street here in Carlsbad, California. It's about 9 o'clock at night, literally empty. On a usual night, this street would be loaded with people because this is a very popular tourist area. We're only 1 block from the beach, a little over a block, I guess, from the beach, and no one was here, mainly because of the virus. No one is here. I want to address a topic tonight that I hear a lot, and I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this idea, and I actually was watching someone's YouTube channel tonight, an actually a very big YouTuber, and I hear this comparison a lot, the comparison between Bitcoin and gold. And a lot of people are calling for Bitcoin and gold to both accelerate in value, of which I very much agree with. I cannot agree with more. But I want to distinguish the two and vehemently argue that Bitcoin and gold are not the same, not even close to the same. And actually, gold is not even a good investment. And I wouldn't buy gold or advise anybody else to buy gold. Do whatever you want. I have no interest in gold. I don't own any gold. And I wouldn't own gold because gold is pretty much a bad investment. And I can tell you why. So please, people out there that are comparing gold and Bitcoin and saying right now both are great investments because we're getting massive quantitative easing about ready to happen. They're going to pump trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars into the system. Obviously, you're going to see there's huge inflation numbers coming up. The government's real good at hiding those numbers, but it's going to be massive inflation like we've never seen before. It's going to make 2008 look like a school picnic, compared to what we're going to have coming up here real quickly. So things are going to massively inflate. The good news is if you've been in business and things were going so well, you're going to get a reset because everybody's getting a reset right now. So if you've been in business, you've had a little success, we're going well for you, get a chance to start over. If you didn't have any success and you were looking for a way to get going, hey, you're going to get a reset and get a chance to start all over again. The other thing I think that's going to be kind of good is you're going to get a lot of money to start out with because the government's going to be throwing money, just like we used to hear about helicopter Ben Bernanke and throwing money from helicopters. It's about ready to happen, boys and girls. We're about ready to get the helicopter drop because every man, woman, and child in this country is going to start getting money from the federal government because that's the way it's going to work. We're all going on the government dole. We're all going to start getting help. The ramifications of this are going to be are unforeseen for quite some time. I was listening the other day I was driving up to Los Angeles, and I was in LA the other day, and it's literally a ghost town. For me to go downtown LA and drive around and see nobody, not one thing happening in the areas that I usually go to in LA is incredible. It's like I've never seen that before. Not even on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve or the coldest, brainiest, whatever kind of day. I've never seen it as dead as I saw it up there. Literally, people were trying to stay away from each other and run from each other. That's how bad it is. So bad that the homeless people all were wearing masks. People that look like they really didn't have much life to them. They had a mask on. So anyway, we're all about ready to get a massive reset here. So this is about ready to change everything. And like I said, I was on the XM radio. I was listening on the way back from LA. They were talking about how a lot of farm produce is going to spoil or already has spoiled. So you have farmers like in Florida that grow tomatoes. Those tomatoes are going to go to the East Coast, all over the East Coast for the school lunch program. Schools closed down as they are in California. So all those tomatoes that were going to go into ketchup and all the different foods used for the food that a lot of kids use, maybe only food they get that day is from the school lunch program, all is being wasted, is all rotting. And it's going to take a long time to get that all back up and running again. You just don't stop one day a farming operation that's producing, lots and lots of food for lots and lots of people and just have it up and running one day. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to get back and running. So we've got a long way to go to get this economy back to where it's even semi-functional, yet to the point to where everybody's making enough money to exist on. This is going to be a long haul. So we got a long way to go. And the ramifications are immense. They go on forever. Like I just said, farmers losing produce, to trying to get things up and running again. This idea that we're just going to reopen. Everybody's asking Donald Trump, when's the country going to reopen? No, the country's not going to just reopen. This is going to be like trying to, completely rebuild the economy, not reopen the economy. This is going to be rebuilding the economy, because you just don't stop something in midstream and then just all of a sudden get it running up and running again. Kids are out of school. I mean, we got kids now that probably won't see school again until next fall. You got people that rely, just like right now, the tax preparers. If you're a tax preparer, and April 15th is your big day, because you got people you're doing taxes for. Well, this year, guess what? They delayed it, so you're not doing taxes this year. So that affects your business. Just the overall gravity of what is going on here is incredible. But back to my original point, why gold is a bad investment right now, and why it's never been a good investment, and why I don't think it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a good investment. Gold is not. Mainly because gold is a commodity. And gold, like other commodities, like pork bellies, like beans, like corn, like soybeans, can all be shorted on the Chicago Mercantile, where you can just go online and you can buy a contract and you can short the product. So gold could be shorted. And I've got a lot of experience in this because I used to be a farmer. And gold is a lot like a commodity, just like a commodity we used to have on the farm. And I'll give you an example, because that always makes a little bit more sense than me just giving you some statistical analysis, or maybe showing you a graph of where gold was 6 months from now and showing you to where it's going to be 6 months from now in the future. That is, that's pretty much a guessing game. Back when I was a farmer, we would have bad years. Maybe our whole area would have a bad crop because of a bad year. And you would think to yourself, you would say, wow, everybody's having a bad year this year, the prices should go up. But they would never go up, because the corn price was a worldwide price that was based off the Chicago Board of Trade. The Chicago Board of Trade was the price of corn that we got for what we made in our fields, what we produced in our fields. And there was always some reason why it wouldn't go up, or sometimes would go down or go up or not move very much, is because there was always some mitigating circumstance. Like if we had a bad crop, maybe Russia would have a good crop. Or if we had a good crop, maybe someplace else would have a bad crop, or something like that. So there was always something going on in the background, that people were trading these contracts back and forth, of which they didn't own the commodity, but they could control the price. It'd be much like a builder here in San Diego, a house builder. Housing's very expensive here in San Diego. And let's say I decide I'm going to build a house for $1.5 million. Let's just make it easy, $1 million. And I build the house. I go buy the electrical, I buy the lumber, I buy the nails, I buy everything it takes to build the house. And I got $1 million in this house. And I decide after I build the house, I want to sell it for $1.5 million. So somebody comes along and they short the house, saying, we're going to short your house and say it's worth $700,000. And I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute. It's my house. I built it. I put 1.5. I put $1 million. I want 1.5. No, we're selling it on the Chicago Board of Trade for $800,000 or $700,000. And I'm going to say, how can you do that? How can you short my house? Well, because we bought a contract, and that's the way it works. So we can short your house. That we bought the contract and we short the house. Well, that's the way the commodities markets work. The same exact way. And that's why gold will never be a good investment. And that's why gold will never go up, because somebody that doesn't actually go into the ground and physically mine that gold can sell it on a contract and sell it for a price below what it costs to actually mine the gold. And you may ask me, why if somebody can do that, if they can manipulate the market so much, and make things even worse, let me add another little bit of information to that. They can short that contract without even having real money. They can do it with fiat currency, or they can do it with paper money, or they can do it with this money that we're going to be, passed down from helicopters here pretty quick. They keep going. The helicopter Bernanke bailout money, it can be done with that money. So basically, the government can even buy and sell commodities and of course, control the market. So not only is the farmer just totally, completely out of the game. I mean, he's totally screwed either way. The government can actually come in and do some of that trading too. So actually, this just like they can do with the stocks. So there's no way to win in a commodity. There is no way to win. Believe me, I've been in those markets before. There's no way to win. That's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a limited supply. It's 21 million. It's digital. But I'll keep talking a little bit more about the commodity. So there's no way to win with a commodity because it can be shorted. And the reason somebody might say, well, why don't they just short it to zero? I mean, if you could short it, why don't you just short it to zero? Because if you short it to zero, then nobody will ever plant corn. So you always got to put just a little bit of grease in the game. You got to put a little bit of money on the table. You got to keep the farmer in the game. So you keep it below the cost of production, but you never let it go up too high so you can make much of a profit, because you always want to keep them broke. So you always kind of like keep it right around that range where they'll keep going. You know, next year is going to be a good year. Next year will be the year that we get the 300 bushel corn. Next year will be the year the price will go up to $8 a bushel, and we'll start making some money. But you got to always play that game. But there's never ever going to be the big run up. There's never going to be the run up where it's going to be where it should be, which is probably $20 a bushel or $30 a bushel, because somebody can always short it. Say that's too high, and we're going to short it back down, like you say. But they'll never short it to zero because they'll kill production. If they kill production, then the game's over with and nobody plays anymore. And you break every farmer in the country or in the world, and that's exactly what's going on. And that's why farming is such a hard game, and I was part of that. That's what commodities is. That's what gold is, and that's why gold is not an investment. That's why gold is not a good investment, and that's why no one, I believe, should buy gold. However, that's up to you. If that's what you want to do, then do whatever you want to do. That's just my advice. And my advice alone. So I don't want to see gold go to $5,000 an ounce and say, oh, you said it would never go up. I'm not saying it won't go up. I'm just saying it's not a good investment because it's too manipulated, it's too controlled. It's a market that there's just too much. It's just like the stock market. There's too many influence. There's too much influence, too much control over that market for that ever to be much of an investment. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin. On the other hand, Bitcoin is the future of money. The question that, and I'd like to talk about this for a second because the attributes of Bitcoin are very, very, very unique. The fact that there's only 21 million Bitcoin, the fact that it's digital money, the fact that it's got a protocol set up to where it's distributed database, the fact that it's a ledger that's recorded. There's just so many things about that it's actually so well thought out and came about at the correct time, which is 2000, right after the financial crisis, the banking crisis. It is so unique that the idea that Bitcoin, and I want to make this argument. Somebody asked me this one time. They said if you had, in a court of law, if you had to pin the creator of Bitcoin on somebody, who would you pin it on? If you've had something happen and you had to name the creator of Bitcoin, who could you name as the creator of Bitcoin? My answer to you is nobody. But I will say to you this: I don't think Bitcoin was created by one person. I think Bitcoin was created by a lot of people, and I think Bitcoin was created for a future yet unknown, but was determined, was well determined in advance. And that's about all I'm going to say about this. If you want me to go further, I'll go further in another video, but I'm not going to go any further in this video. I just got to say one thing to kind of back up where I'm going with this. Go and watch Bill Gates' videos in 2015 about vaccinations and about vaccines and about pandemics, and he perfectly describes what we're going through today in 2015. To the nth degree, to such so it's actually a little too good. It's kind of like he got it too right. So he knew a lot of stuff in advance. Whoever created Bitcoin knew something ahead of time. They knew something well in advance to what was happening. And of course, what is happening, this is what we all know, and this is another reason why I would never buy gold, is because this is a paper fiat currency system that we live under. It's a created money, and it's worse than a created money. Everybody says they just print the money. The government prints the money out of thin air. That's right, that's correct. But it's a little bit worse than that. They not only print the money out of thin air, they borrow the money and pay interest on it and then print it out of thin air. So there's a step ahead of just printing it out of thin air from centralized unknown bankers. We don't know who they are. Ron Paul wanted to get them audited. Rand Paul wanted to get them audited. We don't know who they are. We don't know. Maybe they're good guys. I don't know. Maybe they're good people. Men and women, probably families. I don't know. I don't know who they are. We don't know who they are, and we'll never know who they are. And I don't even know that, I'm not somebody that sits here and goes on about, and it's the Federal Reserve System we're talking about, how awful it is, because I don't even know. It's never been audited. We don't know. We just know that they create a lot of money. And we know that they create a lot of money that we borrow from them. Actually, they don't create the money, we create the money, but we borrow from them so that we can create the money. So, I don't know, but I'm not going to go down that route because there's 100 other YouTubers that have gone down that route. I'm not going to go down that route. I'm just saying that we all know it. It's obvious. The formula is just to create a lot of money. That's what's happening right now, and that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. We're going to get a reset. Everybody's going to get a lot of money from the federal government, and it's all coming here real soon. That's the only way that anything will continue to happen, and it will happen that way. And let me make one other point, because I always forget to make points until after the video's over with. Mr. Trump, our good friend Donald Trump, of which I said I'm starting to become more, he's becoming more likable to me, simply because I've found out that Trump is trying to be positive, and he's trying to put a positive spin on, hey, we're trying to get the economy back, and we realize people are in hurting right now, and we want to try to let them get their jobs back and stuff like that. And I think he's trying to be positive, and I respect him for that. I think he's doing the right thing by doing that. And so, like I said, I'm actually getting a little respect for Donald Trump. But Donald Trump actually goes around a lot and says that the United States has made a lot of bad deals with other countries, trade deals, including China as well as others. And I think he's even gone so far as to say almost every trade deal we've ever made has been a bad one. I would say to Mr. Trump, the worst deal that we've ever made in the history of this country is the one we made with the unknown central bankers, where we borrow money from them, and then we print it ourselves, and we don't print it from our own treasury. That's the worst deal we've ever made. So if you want to talk about bad deals and how bad our deals are, why don't you talk about that deal? Because that's the worst deal we've ever had, because it's put our country in a lot of debt. Now, there's a way of getting out of that. I think there's a digital way of getting out of that, just like there's a digital way of fixing everything. In fact, my son always likes to show me this one video about Bernanke, Fed chairman, back in the bailout of the banks in 2008, where he basically says it's just a computer entry. And that's what he said. It was on 60 Minutes. You can find it if you look for it. But basically, the bailout was just a computer entry on a computer. Well, that's basically what this is going to be. It's going to be a computer entry. There's going to be trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars created out of nothing. So what do you do when you get your bailout money, or you have a little bit of money? You can't keep it in cash, because obviously the cash is just becoming less valuable every day as time goes on. If you buy gold, you're just in a commodities market that can be shorted, and always has that pressure. That's an outside pressure that's never going to let it do too much. Just like corn will never do too much, beans will never do too much. What can you do with that money? Where do you go with that money? What are you going to buy? Well, I kind of think Bitcoin wouldn't be a bad idea, and like I say, for the reasons I'd said before. Not saying what I said before about I don't know who created Bitcoin. No one will ever know who created Bitcoin. I don't know if it was somebody that was like a libertarian or somebody else. I think a group of people created Bitcoin. And I think a group of people that had a lot of insight, a lot of knowledge. If it was from the government, or if it was from another group of people that were outside the government, but nothing happens, very much happens by a single person. We know by our own work that we've done on our application, it's taking a lot of people to get a lot of things done, and we have to work really, really hard just to make a little bit of movement. For someone to have thought out Bitcoin and doing it as well as they've done it, the timing that they had, and have it all coded and written out, and then have it so it worked out economically and everything. This takes a lot of different skills that I don't think one person could ever have. That would be almost impossible. I think that the creator of Bitcoin had this time in mind, a time like this. where the fiat currency system will fail, and the gig will be up, and everybody will know it, like we do today, because we have the internet, we have social media, we have everything going on, and that we needed something to replace it, and we needed something digital. Not only that, in 2009, they realized we needed digital money. So this, I think, is a good time for Bitcoin. Plus the fact that it's got 10-year history. It has a limited supply. It has been well thought out to fit into our future, and it's being used today as a means of exchanging money. And it can't be manipulated, and it can't be digitally. Well, it can be, like a lot of people say, it's created out of nothing. Well, they're actually just defeating their own argument, because basically everything right now in this world is created out of nothing. There's no monetary thing that we do on a worldwide basis isn't created out of nothing. Everything, all currencies are basically fiat currencies. Every country in the world has gone off the gold standard. I mean, there used to be, and I don't know what year all countries decided, in the United States was 71, decided to go off the gold standard. But now all countries, I mean, at one time there was everybody in the world, every country in the world agreed to fix their currency to gold. And the reason they decided to fix it to gold is because gold was a precious metal. Not because it was a great investment. It was because it was kind of a standard by which they chose to do it. I don't know if they would use gold today if they did that. And people have just brought that forward. And of course, they always make the arguments, gold's in the Bible, gold's valuable. Gold has all these properties, it's a great conductor of electricity, all like that. They make all these arguments. I've heard all of them a million times before, and that's why they argue that gold's such a great idea. But the idea is, it all used to be pegged. I mean, it was for nothing. If gold was nothing else, gold was a good way of having a measuring stick. Well, everybody took the measuring stick and threw it away, because we all took ourselves off the gold standard. Nobody's on the gold standard anymore, so it's all just created money. So when they say that Bitcoin is just digital money, well, that is exactly what the fiat currency is. It's digital money, just like Bitcoin, just like Bernanke said on 60 Minutes when he said it's just a computer entry. That's exactly what this all is. But the thing about Bitcoin is, Bitcoin's a system, a protocol that works. And the reason it works is because there's accountability. And the other reason why it works is a limited supply. The other reason it works is because it is intelligently designed. And you really can't understand the intelligent design of Bitcoin unless you understand money, how it works, you understand the way it works today, and you understand a little bit about how transactions and things are done on the internet and how computing works. I hear of so many people, and I listened to somebody today who was an economist, a very, very smart man, but he did not understand Bitcoin, and he had no hope on understanding Bitcoin, because all he could say about Bitcoin, the only thing he could understand about Bitcoin, was that Bitcoin was very limited in the number of transactions that it could do, and that because it couldn't do very many transactions, there's no way it could be done as a currency, as a worldwide currency, or as a worldwide use. He didn't understand anything else. That's all he could gravitate to. That's all he could talk about, is that that's all it could do. He could not understand the concept that Bitcoin can go up to any value you want it to go up to. I mean, Bitcoin can go to $100 million of Bitcoin, which means, yes, it can increase in value for everything. It can be traded in the smallest of increments. It can be traded inexpensively. It's digital. It could be used in any numerous ways of value back and forth digitally over the internet. And he couldn't understand that. All he knew is that there was limited amount of transactions. That's all he knew. So he could not get his mind past that. Since he couldn't get his mind past that, he couldn't understand the value of a Bitcoin. But I do believe Bitcoin's going to go up in value and go up dramatically. After, of course, I'm always known for the $100 EOS party, of which I still believe is going to happen. We don't know how soon, but who knows how the future plays out. I guess the only person that really knows how the future is going to play out is a guy like Bill Gates. But a guy like me, I guess I'm just not that smart. I can't really tell you when it's going to play out. But I do know we'll get the $100 party someday. I know people ask me about it all the time. But I would be very, very confident right now that Bitcoin is going to be doing very well in the very near future. There's two things that I love. Number one would be real estate. Actually, number one would be cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whatever altcoin you like. I like Ethereum. I like Tron. I like them all. I like XRP. And I like real estate. I think if you could buy a little bit of real estate, I think that's a good idea too. Because, obviously you can't short a house. They tried to do that they tried to take over the mortgage market when they basically gave everybody a mortgage and then had the government come in and buy back all the mortgages. They tried to take over the mortgage market, but I think real estate would be a decent investment. I also think that the Bitcoin is a good investment. But there's going to be a reset on the economy. Things are going to be changing. Things are going to be different. And I think our old money system is going away. The gig is up. There's just too much information out about it. If it was good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling everybody that we've been conned or had, or this is because it's expanded our system greatly, and the system that we've lived under has given a lot of people a high standard of living. So I'm not going to bash the system that we've been under, and I'm not going to say that it was horrible and that there's evil people behind it. I don't want to go there because I don't believe that. I believe it is what it is, and it's what it's going to do, and I think that its time has come to an end. The other thing too, which is very interesting, is you can talk about stocks too as an investment. You can talk about gold, you can talk about real estate, you can talk about cryptocurrency, and you can talk about stocks. I believe in a lot of the stimulus that they're giving out right now, that one of the things that you cannot do, that they're kind of putting the brakes on, is companies buying back their own stock. Well, we know that the stock market has been going up and has gone up for quite some time because of company buyback. So companies have been able to make money, and they bought back their own stock. And not only that, that's helped to prop up the equities market, as well as the fact that the government can come in and buy equities and prop up the equity market. I don't know if they're going to continue to do that. So I'm not a big fan of the stock market because I don't know that the government's going to keep on propping up the stock market, and I don't know if the companies are going to be able to buy back their own stock. The Treasury thing, I think, is in a tank. I mean, you got negative yield on the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, negative yields. The bond market is terrible. So interest rates are low. That's why I think real estate's a good idea. That's why I think Bitcoin's a great idea. So anyway, we were in interesting times. We were in times that would definitely be are going to be interesting. I'm not scared. I don't think things are going to go really terrible where people are, like some nights I've come out and I've been really kind of a little bit scared. Hey, people are going to be on the streets if this thing doesn't happen. I think there's going to be a massive quantitative easing, multi-trillion dollar bailout, and there's going to be money thrown around a lot. And by all means, get your name in there. Figure out a way, if you got a business, to get a loan. Figure out a way how to get unemployment if you need to get on unemployment. Figure out a way to get some of the money that the government's going to be passing out, because they're going to be passing out a lot of money. And then use it wisely and do something with it. Like I say, $5,000, $6,000 Bitcoin right now might not be a bad place to put it. But I'm only one opinion, and as people that know, nobody's right all the time. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But that's just my feelings on it. That's what I think is going to happen. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, hopefully this video didn't go too long, and I didn't lose too many people. And hopefully we get back to normal with life here very shortly. And even though we're a long way from getting the economy to where it was before this happened, maybe at least we can walk into a store and feel comfortable that we can not have to wear a mask or have gloves on or be worried about standing too closely to somebody else. It's so funny because I was in the store here the other day, and a lady was standing there, and she had the whole 9 yards on. She had the gloves, the mask, the gloves, everything on, and she was complaining about it. She goes, "This is so uncomfortable. I can't even breathe through this thing, and these gloves are all sticky." And all she was doing is complaining about her getup. I mean, I know she was doing it for good reasons because she was worried about catching the virus, but she was also complaining about how uncomfortable her whole getup was. So hopefully we will be able to get away from that and not have to be so worried about something like that. So anyway, if you have an idea for a video, put it down below. if you want to contact me, obviously leave a comment. I try to read every single comment. And if one is interesting and I really like it, I respond. I respond to a lot of them, but sometimes people just give, they just give me comments like, just simple comments. Sometimes I don't respond to those, but I will respond to your comment video if you ask me a question. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.